God himself, to be honest. He has a show called God, and he is God in it. Anyway, so I have Rich Potter with me today, and Rich gave me a great big long list of accomplishments, and I'm going to be honest, Rich. I don't care about your accomplishments. I mean, I do, but I'd rather discover them throughout the interview than give people a big bio, if that makes sense. So we start off the show this week with the question of the week. Everybody got it, same one. If you could eat any sandwich for the rest of your life, what sandwich would that be? And only one.
You mean
you can't have any others?
I have to take that one sandwich and divide it up, and that.
Well, you can eat it. You can eat it every day.
So I get like one crumb a day for the rest of my life, and it's like in aggregate, I get to eat that one sandwich.
Yeah, and one rancid chunk of whatever it is. No. So you can eat the same sandwich every day for the rest of life, but you don't get to have any other sandwiches.
For me, that's a simple thing, because I've subsisted for 30 years on the same sandwich, which is it's a good whole grain bread with slice of cheese, slice of tomato, slice of cucumber, maybe a sprinkle of salt, sprinkle of garlic powder, or chopped garlic. I don't know if I have to choose like the form of garlic, but if I have to choose the cheese, it would probably be Vermont Cabot, aged 3 years.
Getting fancy on me. Holy cow.
That's what they have at Costco. It's cheap. And you get a big block of it.
That's fair.
You get one block, it'll last the rest of your life anyway.
That's true. It would. So when we talk about you and who you are, let's start at the end and what you're doing now. Well, I hope it's not the end of you, but what you're doing right now, you're doing art, correct? And people get art confused because art is 500 things. Jason Lynette, come on my podcast. Anyway, sorry.
Hey, Jason. Right, you're both hypnotists.
How do you know Jason?
How do I know Jason? He's from Baltimore, and I'm from Maryland, which is the state in which Baltimore is. And we met on a show. I got to do an equity production of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and he was the assistant stage manager.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he changed his life from that a while back, so that's pretty cool.
He was just changing into that the hypnotism then.
Yeah,
but he's a very, very good magician as well.
Have you kept up with him?
Not a whole lot. I mean, we see each other peripherally, but we've talked a few times. That was like 11 years ago. But we're friends on Facebook, and
Jason is. So, for those of you that don't know, Jason's probably the top hypnosis trainer on the planet and possibly the solar system. Jason wanted to mention that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern have passed.
Yep, they're.
Okay. Yep. Oh, that's not good.
That's not good. Them 2 nooses during the show.
Oh, so it's a joke.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the show Tom Stoppard?
Not at all.
Oh,
so that scared the hell out of me, Rich.
RNG are 2 characters out of Shakespeare's Hamlet, and they're Hamlet's buddies. They're kind of comic relief, but they serve a function in the play, and they go off and they die off screen, off the stage, and the whole point is they are in a play. Like when you're sitting in the audience watching them, they kind of start noticing things like we don't remember what we were doing before like 10 minutes ago, and they just kind of realize that, like, every night we kind of end up dead, and why, and it's a comedy, but it's like a thinky comedy, and it helps to understand Shakespeare a little bit and understand Hamlet, but you don't necessarily have to.
That makes sense. Yeah. So before we get really, really off topic,
Too late.
Well, I told you this was going to go anywhere. We wouldn't even necessarily promote your stuff, but you're doing art, right? I need you to show some of that art so we actually get that in and we don't forget that beforehand. Jason, if you're still watching, I know you need some baffling in your office. Some of Rich's art would be really good. So, Rich, go ahead, show some art that you're proud of. Maybe stay away from the political stuff, but some of the stuff you got there.
I'll just go through some of this stuff. This is from various phases, starting from about 10, 12 years ago. I've worked in acrylics.
That way.
Backwards.
Ooh.
So
he ate a holy cow.
Yeah, the pill stuck in his throat.
Yep.
But he's happy.
So a lot of these are actually commentary on the world, correct? Maybe not commentary, may not be the right word.
Yeah. I mean, my art reflects how I see the world, and I tend to see it through a comic and dark lens.
That makes sense. I think as entertainers, we kind of all start to see it that way, right? We get very cynical as we get older. What else do you have that you want to help promote?
Well, there's this is a T-shirt design I'm working on. I'm kind of depending on how you count, 2/3 or 1/3 of the way through the process. I have the design, and now I just have to submit it to the place that prints them, and then start promoting it. So that's 2/3 of the work. 1/3 is actually doing the artwork. You know how it is. You're an artist.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're not a salesman, you're a hobbyist.
That's right. And it doesn't matter what art it is. If it's music or stage shows, if you're not out selling, then nobody cares.
Yeah.
So,
let's see. Someone contacted me randomly and said, "Do you do pet portraits in pencil?" And I said, "Well, I do now. What do you need?"
Yes. That's one of the lessons of hypnosis. That's the lesson of any performance, right? Do you do this? You're damn right I do.
Yeah, and so he wanted his two cats, two portraits of his cats, and I practiced on my dog, and so this was getting another medium. He was a beautiful dog. He's gone now, but he had those eyes, and you got lost in them. Yeah. And then this is a little more current.
Save the poop. Yeah.
Dark and comic.
Well, it is kind of a commentary on where we are.
Exactly. And they say I have heard pee in the shower. That helps mitigate the problem. But I just like to take things too far. Ask my wife.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Some people do.
I think I got the guy's face perfect. He's
crunching one out.
Going along with the theme, and this is from 4 years ago. I discovered that there's an International Toilet Day, which I thought was funny at first, and then I'm I did some research, and it's no, toilet is life and death for a good chunk of the developing world. So I celebrated by showing a very loving toilet, which could change lives.
Did you know they would have had flush toilets 150 years before in England if Victoria had approved them? She didn't want the whole town basically hearing her take a crap because it has that flush, right? And it would echo off the castle walls. And one of the parts of the history of the toilet is that she said no, so all the lords and ladies said no too, in their own abodes. So it could have been rushed in hundreds of years before, and it could have actually helped prevent some of the epidemics that they had with cholera and other stuff.
Right.
Weird facts that as a weirdo that studies things.
Well, I actually did a little research on that cholera outbreak as well, and it's interesting how they forensically narrowed down to this one water pump in London. And so if they had flushed toilets, they wouldn't have had to go through that process, but they did help them understand germ theory. It was one of those big steps in the broader picture, saving more lives. So Queen Victoria, but in a way, she made life better.
That's absolutely true. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. So I want to talk to you about your life, your career. We're at that point. Let's get there. You sent me a video yesterday. Do you want to talk about that video and what it actually represents?
You wanted that story, didn't you?
Well, no. I want to talk about what actually came out of it years and years later, as far as your own self-esteem. Does that make sense? So,
yeah.
So go ahead, tell the story.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess it started. I could do backstory, but I'll cut to the chase. In 2004, I got a phone call from an agent. I'm a variety entertainer first, and I got called to be on the Late Show with David Letterman. And just like with the pet portraits, okay, sure. What do you need? I can do it. And I was. It was going to be a segment called "Is This Anything?" The curtain goes up. I do something for 30 seconds. The curtain goes down, and Dave and Paul Schaefer, they would riff and just make jokes, but try to come to a consensus whether what they saw was something or wasn't anything. Yeah. And so I have 30 seconds to impress them with no words. And what I chose to do is I have this kind of a goofy superhero outfit with a helmet and goggles, and I had my I had a little thing on a spring up on top of my head that bounced around when I jumped up and down, and I'm juggling fire while hopping on a single stilt. So before I went on, I'm behind the curtain in the dark. I'm about to light my torches. Torches, once they're lit, they last only about 3 or 4 minutes. And once they're lit, it takes about 5 to 10 seconds for the flames to start looking like flames. And you can't blow them out for 3 or 4 minutes. So there's a timing issue. But also, once I had them lit, I had to mount the stilt and start jumping and then get the juggling pattern going. That took 3 or 4 seconds as well. I have to make sure I have my balance before I start throwing fire things around. So all these things are going to happen like within like 5 to 10 seconds. And the stage manager is standing right next to me. He's going to give me my cue, and he's looking through the curtain at Dave, who's just talking about the thing just before me. And he's like, okay, get ready. Okay, light them now. And so I start to light the torch. He says, "Oh no, wait!" and so my heart jumps, and I start to settle a little bit. And then he's like 30, 40 seconds later, he's like, okay, he's getting ready. He's winding up the bit. He's like, okay, light them now. Oh wait! And he did that to me like 5 times in a row. And like by the time he says light them for real, I'm like, do I trust him? Do I don't? Whatever. I light them up. I get on the stilt. I start hopping up and down. I start juggling the fire. Then the curtain comes up. And through all that stress, this has happened to me on stage one other time. That's another story. But I'm juggling. I'm like, I'm so shot. I realized after the fact, like 10 years later, I realized this is a panic attack. I couldn't feel my arms. It was like pins and needles. And so I'm juggling fire.
Having a panic attack.
Yeah, I can't even see Dave or the audience or anything. There's lights in my eyes, and I'm juggling fire, and I can't feel my arms. So one of the torches flies out of my hand towards the curtain. And I'm like, I didn't really have a good plan for how this is supposed to work. But and I was watching it last night with my wife after I showed it to you, because reminiscing. I hopped over to the curtain, and she said, "It's amazing how you did that in time with the music." It's like totally by accident. It's those instincts just kicking in. So I hop over to the torch. I hop down because I only have one foot attached. The stilt's 2 feet. 2 feet. So like I have long legs. So I got down, got the stilt, jumped back up, started juggling the fire again, hopped back to the center while juggling the fire. And as the curtain downs, you see me fumble again, but I didn't drop. So And that was it. Dave and Paul talked about me for a couple of minutes. I didn't hear any of it. And I'm in my mind, it's like, oh my God, I just screwed up on national television. Millions of people just saw me be a loser. And watching the replay later, I was watching with friends on the replay. I managed to get a video from a friend who had an early TiVo. And my friends say that was great. He said so many nice things about you. I'm like, no, he was mocking me. And it took me a while to kind of get myself out of the way and see myself through the eyes of the audience. And you know, I acquitted myself well. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. And the thing that Dave said was, you
kept going.
Yeah, in the face of adversity, he just kept going. You know, that showed me plenty. That was really something. So, you know, I got some good quotes out of that. But you know, I used those quotes for about 10 years before I really started to believe that he meant them.
The thing about Dave is when you actually watched his show, you could tell when he was actually genuinely concerned for people sometimes, if that makes sense. And I think the body language with what I do, the body language he had showed a genuine care because he's been there before, right? Yeah, he is one of us. He's a comedian, but he's bombed on stage, right? We all have.
Sure.
And it's not that you bomb on stage, it's what you do next, right? If you let it just kick you in the balls, sorry everybody who's watching, but if you let it kick you in the butt, then realistically you're never going to get up. Holy cow, 16 minutes flew by. Where can people find your art, Rich? Is it down there, the richpotter.com? Is that where they can contact you if they did want to buy art or eventually book shows, I'm assuming?
Sure. Well, richpotter.com is a place to find kind of everything. It's the umbrella. My art site is off that. It's called awfulcute.com. And really that's where I sell t-shirts. My art really, it's like kind of, it's kind of artisanal art right now. Like you got to know me on Facebook to like track it down. Like I said, the 1/3 of doing the art is easy. 2/3 is getting it out there. But you know, people on Facebook are like they're buying the original art that I'm doing, and then I've gotten a couple of illustration clients out of it. In the past I've done illustration for Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey. I've done it for NASA. Recently I illustrated an award-winning cookbook on Amazon. No, I mean the book is for sale on Amazon.
Yes.
So it's like over the years, people just get to know me and find out that I do this stuff. They're like, I can use that, and so I've done a bunch of illustration jobs over the years. I'm going in the next couple months. I'm going to be illustrating a children's book.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome. The opportunity that you're finding during the crisis that we're in now, right? The crisis of the week that we're in now. But it's awesome that you're finding the ability to actually still affect people, because a lot of people aren't, especially in the arts community. They're just sitting back and relaxing. You're doing art time with Rich every night?
Every night, 8:30 p.m. until Armageddon is over.
And that's New York time. So
Eastern Daylight Time. Yeah.
Eastern Daylight.
Because I have people from other countries watching.
Yeah, I watch probably 3-4 minutes of it every night, and then my kids come and bother me. I'd
say it's like literally watching paint peel or paint dry.
Well, no, you give a little downside of your day, and then you do some art. That's exactly what you need.
That's how I started. I had a commission that I was sitting on because I didn't. Here's the thing working with me. I've learned, if you don't give me a deadline and say, oh no, it's fine, whenever, you won't get it. That's a deliverable date, and you will get it. I promise. But I am too. ADHD is too much a part of my life.
That makes sense. Speaking of ADHD, you're a classically trained clown. Right?
Yeah.
See, I'm a pro, Rich. I've done 50 of these things. I'm saying we could. So with the being classically trained, how did that work? And is that still even available these days?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the the way it was put to me in my class at Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College. Now, the first "and" is spelled out, and the second "and" is an ampersand. At Clown College, they stress to us that we're not teaching you to be a clown. That's too broad. We are teaching you specifically how to perform in the specific style of the American three-ring circus clown, which it's just a stylistic a slice of the style or a slice of the art form that is stylistically adapted for broad motion communication to people far away, and making sure the eyes are on you, and how to communicate simple ideas to people far away.
And when you talk about that, Ringling Bros used to have, like, how big was their tent? How many could you fit in there?
In the United States, Ringling Brothers has not been under a tent since 1956.
Holy crap!
It has only played arenas, coliseums, indoor like permanent structures since that time. And what they found is they didn't need all those people to set up and tear down the tent every day.
Yeah.
And every
in the building.
Yeah, exactly. Then the circus was kind of imploding when the Feld family bought it in 1967, and in 1968 they opened a clown college, and Clown College ran every year for 30 years. Like they stopped exactly 30 years later. There's no the official word is there when they started. There were 13 clowns left on their show. The youngest one was 56 years old.
Holy!
And they saw an art form was dying, so they decided to put some new blood in, pass the torch, and Clown College was the venue in which to pass that torch. I went in the 19th class. The following year was the 20th, and we had a big national reunion. Like we all met in Venice, Florida, to have a circus headquarters to film, not only have a reunion, but also to cash in on it and make a CBS special. Dick Van Dyke was the host of that show, so a lot of us got to meet Dick Van Dyke, which was for clowns, that's a big deal. Like he's one of the gods in our world. He's one of us. I mean, he's an actor. He was never circus, but he's obviously a clown.
It's funny that you talk about that, because the thing about me as a performer, I'm in the middle of bloody nowhere. I have zero connections where I am, right? I'm like the closest big city to me is 2.5 hours away, but I found these little weirdos just like me in my area that keep the spirit of not just a little bit of clowning, because I do some kids stuff, right? I do a lot of more adult stuff with the hypnosis show, obviously, but those people that I've found have helped keep that clowning spirit alive where I'm at. Actually, I've interviewed one on the show before, and I should put her interview up, but a lot of that died, right? When vaudeville came out of what it was, and then the circus has slowly started to die now, right? Ringling's gone, is it not, or is it the other big one? So
no, it's Ringling Brothers. Both there was 2 separate shows that like chased each other around the country.
Yeah,
and pretty much the same day. They just went vaporware.
So as a clown, as a circus style performer in your previous life compared to what we're doing right now, where do you see circus going in the future? Do you see any resurgence? Because it's been around for 500, 600 years in the questionable form, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like modern circus is really like the early 1800s. You can kind of pinpoint it there.
Okay, and before that was like fairs and stuff, right? Like the local community fair.
Yeah, the circus style entertainment was around before circuses. But the modern circus. So it was modern circus and modern clown were born around the same time, but separately. And really? Like later, the circus attracted the clowns and clowns became. That style of clown started growing up with the circus.
That makes sense. So where do you see circus going? Do you see it making a resurgence ever? Like the heyday is gone. It's not the 1930s, 1940s where it was packing in 50,000 people in a weekend, right?
I would say, I will preface this by saying I haven't really worked in a circus since the late 1980s. So it's a big part of my who I am and my foundation. But the broader usage, circus is no longer just being under a tent in a ring. Circus is a style of entertainment. It's a shorthand for variety entertainment of like physical feats, and I include clown in that. Clown isn't necessarily physical feats, but clown, and you can have theatrical clowns and circus clowns, but clowns are very integrated with the history of circus. So that's often the first thing people think of.
Makes sense.
When I talk about clown for myself, I'm talking about like on stage or in a more public setting, like at an event. I will be a clown, and usually when I'm a clown, I don't wear any makeup. I don't wear like this. Oops,
the Bert the Nerd, is that who it is?
Yeah, Bert the Nerd is kind of a clown-esque juggler. I mean, to me, he's a clown. To you, he's a juggler, and he's just it's a clown. I don't sell that as a clown show. I sell that as a juggling show because that adds a zero to the check.
Yeah, exactly. A clown, here's $6.
Yeah, but the thing is, people like people who know what the power of a good clown, they can hear the word clown, and like in the circus world, people know a circus can live and die on the quality of the clown they have.
Yeah.
I mean, they can have all these people doing amazing things, but the humanizing element is the clown. We're the ones that are, we're not superhuman. We're not flying through the air doing flips or, riding motorcycles inside globes and defying death. We are the audience. We're the proxy for the audience. And so we're, everyone looking at that stuff, we're among gods and we're just mere mortals. And then the mere mortal enters the ring. And the clowns are more human. We're even more flawed. So we're able to kind of connect the audience to, this is in our world.
That makes sense.
And there's something beautiful to that.
I kind of hearken it back what you're talking about being the grounding factor. I'm going to bring WWE into this. I like professional wrestling, but that's their job. If
I would interrupt you. Side note. One of the colleagues I worked with over the years, his prior job was he was a pro wrestling referee, and he said it was not a huge leap because it's the same skill set.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at pro wrestling, and you talk about bringing it down to earth. The greatest angle of my lifetime was Steve Austin versus The Rock. And if you're not a wrestling fan, it doesn't matter. But Steve Austin, his character was literally the guy on the street drinking beer in the backyard at a barbecue, right? Uh-huh. That he was the guy that was going to kick your ass if you bothered him, but he was just drinking beer and having a good time. And it was a huge happening in America and in Canada because we could see ourselves on that screen. And I think that's what clowns bring back with performance. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's the everyman.
Yeah. I do apologize for taking up so much time, Rich. We're at 28 minutes and 36 seconds. To be honest, we could probably do this for 4 hours. Sure. But generally, I try to keep under a half hour so it's digestible. Whoever's watching now, you know what to do. Like, share, blah, 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 all that stuff. Rich, before we end off, where can people find you one more time?
www.richpotter.com. That's Harry Potter's rich brother. richpotter.com.
Now, is your full name Richard?
Richard, yeah.
Okay. So if I called you, no, just kidding. I'm going to say the word.
Is it, the little, yeah.
Yeah, that phallic thing.
People have tried to call me Dick over the years, and I've managed never to be stuck with a moniker. And I like to say I've been dodging Dick my whole life.
Demonetized, ladies. No, I'm just kidding. So richpotter.com and awfullycute.com, is that right? Awful cute.com for his artwork.
Richpotter.com will get you to any of my various projects,
including the ones about chasing dick. Call back.
Dodging.
No,
it's very different. Dodging,
not chasing.
And there's the alliteration, dodging dick.
So the last thing I always do with every guest I have on, Rich, is ask them this simple question. In this time of crisis that we're in, not for anybody else, but for yourself, what's the thing that you've done for yourself today, and that's important today, to make yourself happy? And you can't say this interview.
I made myself a bowl of oatmeal.
Is it good?
Oh yes, yeah, this is the breakfast of champions. I put in a banana, some nuts, some banana nuts, raisins, and a little cocoa powder, like unsweetened cocoa powder. It's like totally healthy, and I know that I feel good inside when it goes in. I do one healthy thing every day, and that's self-love.
I had apple crisp. Does that count as oatmeal?
I try to stay only with natural sugars that are all connected to something else. I'm an acolyte of berries.
Well, I did it for almost 3 months. For those watching, we're talking about Berry Freedom. He did a program 30 days sugar free, and it changes your life. It gets rid of all the refined crap sugar in your life if you can do it. And I did it for 3 months, and then it did not work after that. Let's just say that. And about 30 pounds extra. So
I'm back to eating sugar, but I'm much more aware of it.
Yeah, that's basically what I did too as well. Very, very limited on what I do and when it is something. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Rich Potter, we're ending the show, Rich. We ended it in one way. I need to say bye-bye to everybody, and I'll hit the end broadcast. Bye, everybody. Where's the thing? There we go.